You all right? Are you having a good Thursday? No, I didn't think so. Just another week at Sheffield Wednesday, innit? The EFL admitting that today they put Sheffield Wednesday under embargo. Now, what does that mean? Well, I'm a bit of a plank. I won't be doing jobs I've done through my life if I knew what I was on about. So I've had to look at it and try and break it down into layman's terms. The first thing it means, this embargo, is that Wednesday limited to a 23-man squad. I'm sure we've got 23 players, but anyway, limited to a 23-man squad of what they call professional standing. So that's first-team players, essentially. We've got a problem with that, though, haven't we? We've currently got offers for Bannon, Patterson and Akinfenmayo that we've put out to them, sign that, son. Nobody would blame them, let me say at this stage, if they didn't sign them. So there are they. But if 2 out of those 3 signed, that would take us up to that 23-man squad limit straight away, which would completely restrict getting any more players in for this season. I mean, we did the release list the other week, didn't we? And I'm looking at that and I thought, you know what? We've had a good season, mid-table. I probably agree with most of the stuff on that list, yeah. Let them go, get a couple more players in, but no, there's going to be none of that game. So that's the first thing. A limit of them, which means that Barry Bannon could be leaving after 10 years. And what an horrible way to leave that would be for someone who's given such amazing service over them 10 years. So if 2 out of 3 sign, one of them's probably going to have to miss out. As it is, Akinfenmayo being linked with Charlton Athletic today, would you blame him if he left? I won't blame him. Do you know what I mean? Can you imagine me doing contract talks down at the Valley? Well, these are the club stipulations. They're things we'd like to have in your contract. Anything you would particularly like to have in your contract? What's that? Getting paid at the end of every month? I think we can do that for you, son, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Basics. So I won't blame him if he went there. Leave us massively short at centre-half again, apart from signing kids. Anyway, so that's the first part of the embargo. What a farce. The second thing to remember is, because we didn't pay last October, and then we didn't pay in March, and now we haven't paid again, Wednesday had 30 days. You get 30 days through the year to sort these things out once you get into trouble. Now, if you remember the last one, Wednesday were almost up to that limit. The players were due to be paid last week, which means they must be over that 30-day timeline now. They must be over it. The EFL haven't commented on it yet because obviously they've got to get in touch with the club first. What does that mean? Well, that's a ban on transfer fees. A slightly different thing. We can't sign anybody above 23 players anyway, so it's just kicking a man when he's down. But that would mean a 3-window fee ban up to January 2027. Now, if you look at last season, we finished mid-table. We're all saying that's quite good for the squad that we've got. We've let a few players go and we're thinking if we can get a few right bodies in, maybe we could push for that top 10. But the idea that we could try and do that without being able to spend any money on strengthening this squad until 2027. It's incomprehensible that we could push anything other than trying to stay in division, trying to achieve anything other than not being relegated. If that has been triggered, and I believe that it has, not being able to sign players for money for 3 windows, doomed. I can't see it any other way. Like I said, we've got 3 players that you would like signed up, Pato, Bannon and Fenmayo. At the minute, only 2 out of them 3 could sign. Is there anything else that I'm missing here? Well, yes, there is actually. The players were due to be paid last week. They haven't been paid yet. We're now well into June. Here's another thing I don't like. The club has put out a memo to staff. We're still trying to get it sorted out and this and that. And you've got to feel sorry for staff because that memo will have been sent by someone who's probably not been paid themselves. To staff who aren't being paid, and the memo says, if you're struggling and you need to get things off your chest, see HR. Don't be too harsh on them though, because they probably haven't been paid either. What a fucking carry on this is. Anyway, to get back to my point, the end of June. Not too far away, really. But here's the thing. Get to the end of June, if they don't get paid then, that would be 2 months without being paid. And unfortunately, that triggers something. That triggers a regulation with FIFA. Yes, I know, FIFA. Those paragons of honesty and virtue. But anyway, they've got a ruling within there that says if players don't get paid 2 months on the spin, they are entitled to walk out on their contract. Yeah, that's right. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself with my pessimism, but given the shit show we've already encountered this season, is it too far-fetched to think that could happen? That we might have the same bollocks next month? Can you imagine that? A mass walkout of players. What would happen then? It'd be like, it'd be unprecedented, wouldn't it, in English football? So you're hoping that gets paid. You're hoping they get paid next month. But they haven't been paid this month yet. What a carry on. Now the club say they're desperately trying to find the money. They're desperately trying to find the money and they're still working to get this month's wages paid. Where that money's coming from, nobody knows. I watched an interview on Wednesday Till I Die podcast last night. It's quite a long video. Some stuff I thought would a bit contradictory to other things, but nevertheless, the one bit that really stood out to me was a bit at the beginning of the video. We're talking about the bids from the American consortium. Obviously, I want change at Hillsborough. And then it was said, well, Mr. Chansiri would actually like his way out, but he can't really go because the bid is nowhere enough to cover the money that's being borrowed. But I would have some massive questions about that. A, where's that money being borrowed from? Who are the lenders? Oh, where's this money coming from that's been borrowed? Secondly, what interest is being charged on it that somebody paying over the odds for the club would not be enough to pay these people back? And who are these people? They're questions I'd like answering. I mean, we'll never find out of that, I'm quite sure. So that's the shit show. Will the players get paid for last month? Well, I think they probably will. And I think the reason they probably will is Wednesday are now listening to offers for Caelan Cadamartri, the most promising youth prospect we've had in our academy and youth system for probably the last 50 years. Smashing goal-scoring records for absolute fun. 15 years old and smashing goals in for the under-18s. Now he's been sniffed at by Man City, Everton and somebody else I don't really care about. And you know, when you're talking about that sort of money for a 15-year-old kid, you've got to seriously look at it. Because for every kid who's going to be the next best thing, there's no proof. There's no proof. You can't guarantee anything. I can remember people, Ross Barkley's going to be the new Paul Gascoigne. Things sometimes don't work out. People of my generation may remember the name of a young American kid called Freddie Adu, who at 15 years old, we're going to be best player in the world. The Black Maradona. I can't remember hearing him in the last 30 years. So you've got no guarantees. So would you take $1.5 million for a 15-year-old when you're a championship club? I think you possibly would, wouldn't you? And say, do you know what? The academy's bore through. Let's take that £1.5 million and plunge it back into the academy. The problem is, and this is where it would leave a really sour taste, you're selling your greatest talent in a generation, and you know it's just going to pay the wages for the next 2 months. Now, we want our players paid. We want our staff paid. We want everyone who works at Hillsborough, most of them loyal fans, by the way, we want them paid. But the idea we'll lose our greatest prospect in years to do so, because the club is run like an absolute fucking shit show, leaves a really sour taste in my mouth. And it would be typical Wednesday, but it would annoy me. If we were selling the kid, go in there and we're plunging that money back into the academy, or we're going to put it in there and say, do you know what, we're going to go out and we're going to sign 5 young kids for 250 grand a piece and try and do the same with them. Brilliant. That's how your academy should run. That's how your academy should function. But we won't, will we? That $1.5 million will just stave off the next shit show at this club. It will just put it off for 2 or 3 months. That's all it will do. And that's where it's annoyed me. Anything else that I've missed? Embargo, 23 man squad limit. One of the three players offered contract, Patterson, Bannon, Firmino, probably won't be able to sign if two of the others do. Probably breached that 30-day limit with the October, April, May mishaps with the wages. So probably can't sign anybody for cash for the next 3 transfer windows up to 2027. We could possibly lose our captain of 10 years in a really awful way after the outstanding service that he's given us. We're probably going to lose the most outstanding young talent our academy has produced in my lifetime, just to be able to pay people who work at the club because we're not run properly. And there is potential that if we fail to pay the players in June, then there could be a mass exodus and a walkout. Just another day at Wednesday. Marvellous, isn't it?